The show is called Spiral, Perspectives on an African American Art Collective. And it looks at a group of African American artists that came together in 1963, summer of 1963, just before the March on Washington, because they were thinking about civil rights. Many of them had migrated from the South to New York, but they were hearing about things that were happening in the South. They were very concerned. They wanted to engage in the civil rights movement as artists, and they began having conversations. They began meeting, and they each addressed the questions that they posed themselves in different ways. They had very diverse styles. They did not come up with one aesthetic. They didn't have one manifesto. And yet they were all black artists in a mostly white art world. They did not have an easy time exhibiting their works. They were facing racism in the art world. They wanted to be engaged in the civil rights movement. And so they met and created this group called Spiral, based on the Archimedean spiral moving outward and constantly upward. And that shape of outward movement with all these radiating spikes reflected to them all of their different styles, but beginning with this common core purpose and radiating outward. So remarkably, no one has done this show yet. But each of these artists is significant in his or her own right. There was one woman only, 11 men. The names might be recognizable to those who have studied a bit of art history. Romare Bearden, for example, Hale Woodruff. Each one had an important trajectory, but I'm looking at them at this very focused period of time. Early 1960s. What were they doing? What were they thinking about black aesthetics at the time, and how did they work out those problems? That's what this show is about.
What gave you the idea for putting this show together?
You know, I first learned about Spiral when I was 18. There were no classes in African American art history when I was in college, but I was very interested in it, and so I did self-directed study, independent study, and I read some writings by Romare Bearden, and it just stuck with me. And then I became friends with Emma Amos over the years. She's from Atlanta, and I taught in Atlanta for many years, and the idea just percolated. Once we dedicated this gallery in the museum, we in 2008, we dedicated a gallery to African American art. It was a new thing for us to do. We really wanted to try that approach of having one gallery where people could always come and see African American work. We always have it up in contemporary, we always have it in American, but if you don't know what you're looking for, if you don't already know who the artists are, you could miss it, you see. So we wanted a gallery where people could come all the time. Then that required us to generate shows every 3 months, a new show. And so a patron of the museum, Professor William Colvin, who taught at Stillman for many years, and he's a curator, he knew some of the Spiral members. He had interviewed them in New York. And I asked him to give a talk at the museum about his personal recollections, and he did that. Then it built from there. Every year, this group of patrons that I work with, African American collectors and enthusiasts, we have a gala, and their dues money goes to acquire a painting for our museum. And I thought, why don't we really flesh this out? I will present them acquisition possibilities from the Spiral era. We need that work in our collection. Why don't we invite Emma Amos? We can honor her as the only woman member of Spiral. And the year just has gone on with more and more things. Now we're I developed the show, we're opening the show, and then in February we have Richard Mayhew coming, who is one of the surviving artists of the group, so he will speak in February.
Do you think this exhibit will travel, and do you think it'll grow? Do you think it'll reach other museums?
You know, there is interest on the part of another museum. I've taken you through the gallery and you've seen that it's rather small. So the scope of the show, I had to fit it within our gallery space. I included 7 of the artists. There were 12. I included the 7 whose work I felt most strongly exemplified what the movement was about. But ideally, the show should have all of the artists and many more works and occupy much more space. So I hope that this is a seed, and I hope that in whatever form the show will grow and will travel. That might take a little bit of time, but the institution that has expressed interest would like for me to grow the show, would like to see a major catalog, and the movement, the collective, deserves that, you know.
Do you have a favorite piece in the collection, or do you have one that speaks to you? I have come to love all the works so much, and as I've lived with them, and it's so different to see a work in person than to see it in a book or a slide. It's just altogether different. And I traveled to find these works, and I had to contact the artists' families. In one case, the artist's widow. In one case, the goddaughter. Some works were with gallery owners, some were in private collections. It was truly a labor of love, and stopping at each point and talking with these people about Spiral, because the show has not been done and people have been waiting for it to happen, especially the artists who are living, you know, Richard Mayhew and Emma Amos. I think it's important that the group be recognized, you know. So a favorite work? No, I love them all. Love them all. Tell me the name of the exhibit again and the dates that it runs.
It's called Spiral: Perspectives on an African American Art Collective, and it opens this Sunday, December 5th, and closes March 6th, Sunday the 6th.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you so much.